It's that time of year where we all want to read the creepy, chilling, dark, downright sick in the head books for fall. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Molly. I am a freelance book editor and book blogger. I've been talking about books on the internet forever. Recently took a little YouTube hiatus, but I'm back, baby. Let's get into some of these books. For me, I often like to read mysteries, less thrillery, psychological thrillers that have more of the family drama elements. I do like some chilling, spooky reads, but for the most part, I get scared too easily. So I haven't read a ton of like dark horror, but I do like a good gothic horror novel. Anyway, so these are the best new thriller and mystery books of 2024, books that have come out this year that I've read and really loved. If you want to learn more about these books and read the full synopses, definitely check out my blog post, link down below. I have all of the synopses and some other books as well that you're going to want to check out. Also, thank you to the publishers and companies that are mentioned in the description below for sending some complimentary copies of some of these books. Up first, we have First a Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This book kind of took the internet by storm earlier this year. I thought it was really fun, entertaining, twisty, con book, so it's got that cat and mouse element if you like that sort of thing. I can't be too descriptive here because I do think this is one where you should go into it blindly, but we do follow Evie Porter, who's a complex and intriguing character. Again, con book, so that's kind of all you need to know about her. I wouldn't call this a fast-paced thriller. I found it to be a pretty bingeable mystery that kind of picked up a lot toward the end. I found the characters and the plot to be pretty compelling the whole way through. Next, we have The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I really enjoyed this sort of like Greek tragedy format, nod to Agatha Christie. It's sort of like a whodunit with a twist. This book is really polarizing. A lot of people did not love the narration and the plot. I, for one, loved our main character, who is our unreliable narrator, Elliot, and just how the story unfolded. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Spoiled rich people stuck on a private Greek island when a murder occurs. Yeah. So if you are skeptical of this one, I would check out all of the reviews because, it is quite polarizing, but I really enjoyed it. Next, we have The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. This book came out in January of 2024, and it's still one of my favorite books of the year. This is a gothic suspense mystery, and the whole book is set in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which I live in North Carolina, so obviously I'm going to have an interest in that. But we follow this family estate, and it's sort of like a dark family secrets, family inheritance kind of story, with really complicated characters, lots of intrigue and, drama and urgency that Rachel builds throughout. I found it pretty twisty and fun. There's an epistolary element to the book that really made the whole book for me. We get to know this woman named Ruby through her letters, and still to this day, I think she's one of my favorite characters that I've read about in a very long time. Next, we have Such a Bad Influence by Olivia Minter. I have followed Olivia Minter for a while, ever since she became the co-host of Bad on Paper podcast, which is a great bookish podcast if you don't know about it already. But this is sort of an influencer gone wrong sort of story. Again, less thrillery. It's like a low level suspense thriller, I would say, but has that family drama that I really enjoy while still being creepy and unsettling. And basically, I think my favorite part of this book was just the reflections on just the impact of social media and internet fame and internet culture. I found it really fascinating, especially because the author Olivia is a micro-influencer, so I feel like you kind of get to be inside her head a little bit. So we follow a young woman, an influencer, who disappears, and when she disappears, the internet breaks, and her sister is kind of there to pick up the pieces. And I think that's all I want to say about that one, but definitely check it out if you like stories about influencers. Next, we have The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. This is another influencer gone wrong story. I love Lucy Foley. I loved her ever since she wrote The Guest List. I kind of think she's the queen of the multiple POV She has such immersive settings that just like instantly you feel like you are there in that place. I found this book to be pretty twisty and gripping. I don't think it was as good as The Guest List, but I still found it to be really fun and compelling. So we follow a handful of characters on their first day of the manor, which is this like luxury seaside retreat in this idyllic English countryside. So the vibes are vibing, basically. The past comes back to haunt some of these characters, and the whole book kind of ends in a dead body. So I'll leave it there. I found it to be very entertaining. I will give a disclaimer that I read this book in a cabin in the middle of the woods, so that definitely contributed to the creep factor for me and my enjoyment of the novel in general. Okay, last but certainly not least, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is a literary historical fiction mystery twofer. So we follow this story of this missing child, but also simultaneously we follow the story of her missing older brother who disappeared 14 years before her disappearance. So there's a lot of timelines going on. It takes place in a remote summer camp in the 1970s, but we do jump through a couple of different timelines, which was a little complex. But I found it to be so compelling that it didn't confuse me. I didn't lose interest. I love Liz Moore. I loved her book, Long Bright River. I think she does such an amazing job with every book. It's so multi-layered, so much complexity in her characters and the dynamics between them and the plot. This is another rich family secret story, so like clearly there is a theme in what I like to read. But I have a whole in-depth book review on my blog that I'll link down below with, you know, my favorite book quotes, my thoughts on the book, a brief synopsis, and, you know, book club discussion questions if you're into that kind of thing. So those are my favorite thriller and mystery books that I've read so far that have come out this year. If you want to see my list of favorite new to me thrillers that I read this year, definitely check out my blog post that I mentioned down below. And if dark academia is more of your vibe, I've got you there too. I have a list of 30 plus dark academia books to read. I am currently reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and it is everything right now. It's giving Dead Poet Society. It is so perfect for fall. Oh, let me know what kind of thrillers and mysteries you've read this year that you've been loving. I would love to know. If you've stuck around this long, thank you for being here as I dip my toes back into the YouTube waters. I will be making more YouTube content. I'll be making more book lists, more author tips, more editor tips, more vlogs, reading vlogs. I hope that you're into that kind of thing, and thank you for just being here.